We're here to talk about busts for points leagues, Yahoo points leagues, ESPN points leagues, or more importantly, Yahoo default scoring, ESPN default scoring, Michael Bolton default scorer.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, but I only answer to bend over ho and show me what you're working with. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and we are available on all platforms. We have done sleepers and busts for category leagues and sleepers for points leagues, so now it's time for busts for points leagues. What I find, just give me 30 seconds to soliloquize before we get into the busts here for points leagues, is that everyone will have a comment. You never talk about points leagues, do more points leagues, right? And I think that 85% of what I do is applicable to all leagues, whatever. But then yesterday, this is how I know that I think I'm on the right track. Someone said to me, hey man, why are all your shows points leagues these days? Do you just not care about category leagues? Do you just not do them anymore? So therefore, I know that I'm giving the correct balance. If you have both sides of an argument complaining that you're not doing it, then I think you're doing it at the right amount. So, this is points leagues busts. Based on the current rankings, it is the 9th of October. Is it? It is for me. It's the 8th of October for you guys. Jeez, wow. Sorry for being too Australian there. 8th of October in the United States, Canada, everywhere else that's in the slower part of the world. So we're here to talk about busts for Yahoo default scoring, ESPN default scoring. We might as well bang straight into that to just talk about these guys that I just think if you're judging and you're sorting a draft room based on rank, and you may or you may not, you may use ADP, and that's where things get a little bit iffy, but a lot of people will just use the rankings and default rankings that are set. I think if you pick these guys, you will be making a mistake. So let's start with Yahoo. Let's take a look, and I'm using Yahoo's default scoring, not Yahoo's new high score default scoring, which is different again, because why wouldn't you do that? It makes a complete sense to be able to do that. All right, let's talk about 20 names on Yahoo that I think are currently ranked too high. These are only players ranked inside the top 120, which in a 12-team league would be a starter. And a couple of them only sneak in, but I don't care, because why is Lonzo Ball ranked at 119? Lonzo has an opportunity to start the season, but a name that was on my sleepers show, my flyers show a week ago, Jalen Tyson, he started, and I think he is going to be good. Now, I don't know that we need to draft Jalen Tyson in 12-team leagues or 14-team leagues, but I think he's going to be good. But what it does mean is Lonzo, I think you are tweaking if you have Lonzo Ball as a top 120 player. He's only going to be limited to 20 minutes. He's already a bad points league guy anyway. That's crazy to me. You just don't want to be involved in that. What about Nickeil Alexander-Walker? Now with the Atlanta Hawks, he's ranked at 110. Seems a little crazy, yeah? Alexander-Walker is a good player. He can fit into multiple different sort of alignments. He can play many positions. He can be your backup one at a stretch. He's big enough to play up at the three. He's a very good defensive guard, but he's a bench player in Atlanta. And he was a bench player last season, playing 25 minutes a game for Minnesota. You want to know where he ranked? 229th. So I'm just going to say that getting him at 110 doesn't feel like probably the correct decision, to be honest. Like, what role is he playing that is so much larger in Atlanta as a bench player that enables him to jump up to 110th? The answer is that he doesn't, but he's positioned there. What about Jalen Wells? Now, sometimes we have to be able to separate ourselves from stories, narratives, whatever. It was great that a second-round pick in Jalen Wells started for the Grizzlies all season and was he, second or third in Rookie of the Year? That's a great result. Who cares for fantasy? He was the 259th ranked player for Yahoo points leagues. He averaged 18 points, and while I do believe he will improve, I am pretty confident that we are going to see better production from Jalen Wells this season. Does that mean that we should be looking at him at that current position of 118 as a starter on a 12-team league? No, No, we shouldn't be doing that because it doesn't make any sense to be doing that. I've got him improving, maybe to 180th, but not a 12-teamer. What about Herb Jones? Herb, his season ended early last season with that shoulder issue. He's back. He's ready to go. He's going to start. There's no concerns about that. In New Orleans, he was 133rd last season, though he's ranked at 102. What are we expecting Herb to do more this season? He played 32 minutes a game. Again, this is not a huge thing, but at 102, you're talking round 9. Not even your last starter. And if you're at a point, and remembering how Yahoo ranks these, who they were originally ranking a lot of things as points leagues, made everything default points and changed the rankings to categories. So just again to confuse you, you do not touch Herb Jones at 100. It makes no sense to consider Herb Jones at 100 in a points league. It is a silly decision. It's not like he's going to get there through just being healthy all the time, because that hasn't been the case. He might be healthy, but you don't know that. So I'm saying they haven't put him there because they believe in his health. It just doesn't really make any sense. The next one is one, again, that I am pretty bullish on avoiding. And I don't know if bullish is the right word. Let's just say bearish on his prospects. As much as I love the guy, it is Jalen Suggs. Suggsy is ranked at 82. Why? Like, literally why? I don't know. I don't believe he's going to be ready opening night. He might be. But also, you know, we've got the whole promise coming on this show. If he has a 28% usage, that's what you get. Because that's what he had last season. And you know where 28 usage landed Jalen Suggs last season for Yahoo points leagues per game? 99th. So yeah, like I'm going to just sit here and just tell you right now, I'm a little skeptical that Suggsy might be the 82nd ranked player. And if you're picking him in the 80s, I'll be pretty skeptical of you having a good season. So don't do it. You can do it, but you don't have to do taking Jalen Suggs at that spot. All right, the next batch of Yahoo Points League absolute stinkers are some higher ranked guys, some of them anyway, because I don't think that you should be looking at Desmond Bane at pick number 37. Now, it is very trendy to talk about how good Desmond Bane is. True, he's a good player. It's very trendy to say, well, what an upgrade that is for him on the Orlando Magic. How awesome is that for Orlando? Oh, also true. Very true. That's a great trade for them to get him and improve their team. Why do you care? He's ranked at 37. You know where he was last season? In a season where Ja Morant played only 50 games? Bane was 46th. 46th. So he goes to Orlando, where he's very clearly, I think, the number 3 guy behind Paolo and Franz. And instead of being the number 2 guy, or equal to with Jaren Jackson in Memphis, and number 1 at times, as we can like Des Bane, we can love the player, we can think that he's an okay guy to draft. Without that is fine. In the 60s, maybe. In the 30s, no. D'Angelo Russell is ranked at number 100. D'Angelo Russell will probably be the starting point guard for the Mavericks until Kyrie returns. He might not be. He sucked in their first preseason game, by the way. I think he's like a guy you take in round 11 or round 12, maybe, as a flyer to see what happened. Not that D'Angelo didn't have opportunities to start last season. He did. He was 126th ranked player starting in those games. He played just 26 minutes a night. And while I will confess that I think he plays more than 26 minutes a night while he's starting, I'm not doing it at pick 100. He's not good enough to feel confidence in that. Christian Braun. Now, I did say that I really doubt Christian Braun will shoot 58% from the field. In the first preseason game, he went 8 of 8. So I guess we're already off to a unbelievably good start there. I still don't care, because at Christian Braun at pick 86 in a points league, he was 89th last season. That is, again, banking on the fact that he is going to shoot that well. And you'll say, but efficiency doesn't count as a category for points leagues, which is 100% true. That is accurate. But more shots that you make, you do just generate more actual real-life points. So if he goes from 58 to 54%, which is for some reason the number that's always in my head when I talk about a downgrade for Brownie, if he does that, okay, that might be meaning he's missing 1 more field goal per game, which of course is 2 fewer points per game, which of course is 2 fewer fantasy points per game, which of course takes you from 80 down to 100. That's all it takes. You would need Brown to not only maintain 58% shooting, but have a big bump in usage and a few other numbers to go up, and I don't know that we get that. So I just don't want to do it. In a category league, I can sort of understand it. In a points league, I can't. I think Devin Vassell is a good player. I worry about how they are going to use him this season. I have Vassell, sort of almost flyerish territory for points leagues, but he's ranked at number 98. I think early in the season it's going to be a little bit better for Vassell, who was 96th last season, but that is, of course, without De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper. I don't know if he's a full-term starter or where he is in the usage pecking order, but I know that I'm not taking him at 98. And this one here is one that you know is obvious. Surely you know this is obvious, but we are not touching Josh Hart at 57. I will say this. Josh Hart was 40th last season for Yahoo points leagues. 40th. A huge surprising season. He also played 38 minutes a night and started and almost certainly will not do that. I think in the 80s or 90s, that is a better opportunity to look at Josh Hart. In the 50s, we are not getting involved in that garbage. We'll be back to talk more Yahoo Points League busts and, of course, ESPN Points League busts. But today's episode, it is brought to you by the big fellas over at Quo. Quo is one of those tools that can make a huge difference for business owners. It used to be known as OpenPhone. It's the same great business phone system that you've heard me talk about before, which just got a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. Quo is the number one business phone system that streamlines customer communications and works right through an app on your phone or your computer. So you don't have to worry about carrying two phones around. You don't need your business phone, your personal phone, your burner phone, your booty call phone. You don't need that. With Quo, you can put them all together into one phone and then have that app that runs those multiple numbers. They've got a built-in AI agent as well, which is a game changer. Can answers after hours calls, captures leads, and keeps the business moving when you're off the clock. So you can see why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly OpenPhone. Get started free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedonnba. That is QUO.com/lockedonnba. And if you've got existing numbers with another service, Quo will port them over at no extra charge. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. You don't realize how awkward of a word Quo is to say until you have to say it out loud that many times. We're talking Yahoo Points League busts, so let's take a look at some guys that I think, another 10 guys here who I think are ranked a little bit too high. I look at this one all the time, and I look at where I have Zach LaVine, and I look at it and go, I'm not sure about this, Josh. Like, why are you low on him? All right, so I try to look at the numbers. He's ranked at 61, by the way, on Yahoo LaVine. Like, okay, there's got to be something wrong with what you're projecting, and that's honestly what I think, because he was 58th last season, right? And he's 61 now. But every time I go in to look at this, I can't like change it. I can't make significant adjustments, because when Zach LaVine arrived in Sacramento, nearly everything went down. Assist rate, down. Rebound rate, down. Steal rate, unbelievably low. Like, this guy averaged 0.6 steals per game in 37 minutes of his final 27 games. He was down to 3.7 assists in that time and 3.6 rebounds. Yeah, he didn't block a single shot during that time, and he averaged 23 points. Now, for the season, he was at 23, 4.3, and 4.2, with 0.8 steals, which are much better numbers, obviously. His usage was down at 24. And all of this is predicated on the fact that he shot 46% from three. So the usage drop, the rebound drop, the assist drop, the steal drop in Sacramento was still buoyed, or for Americans, buoyed, by the fact that he was shooting 46% from three. And if he doesn't shoot 46% from three, which you are an idiot, yes, an idiot, if you want to project somebody to shoot 46% from three back-to-back seasons, then he can't maintain it. Now, of course, they might change things a lot, although I find that hard to believe with Schroeder coming in, that his assist rate will jump back up another assist per game, that he now become a better rebounder, or he'll turn back into a 1.1 steals per game player. Maybe he does. I really don't think so. Old mate has not hit 1 steal a game in 4 seasons. So I look at it and I go, I think you're wrong, Josh. I think you're wrong. And I look at it and I go, but I don't really know where. I don't know what I'm wrong on. Outside of the general vibe of LaVine should be a guy in the 60s, I don't know why I'm wrong. Point it out to me. If you can find where I am wrong in overall projecting on LaVine, I do want to hear it, because it is one that bothers me, because I don't like being that low on him. But I am. Bradley Beal is ranked at 80. His ADP is 102, but the new ranking has him at 80. We're not in the business of drafting Bradley Beal at 80. He was 91st last season. Cool. That's great. But the team that he is on now is still pretty loaded. Harden, Kawhi, there is John Collins in that mix as well. How are we going to get value for Beal there where you'd want a discount on Bealo because of injuries? So you're not going to get it. What about Jarrett Allen, ranked at 60? Yeah, I'm already massively down on Allen, especially for points leagues, but in category leagues I am as well. I got him like in the 80s for a points league, and we are just not at 60. Like, it's just pointless. 72nd last season, and that's on the back of a strong start, which tapered dramatically. And I think that they may taper a little bit more. Larry Nance looked awesome in preseason for them off the bench, so we're not doing it. Drew Holiday's ranked at 81. I like Drew this season as a late pick, especially with Scoot out, but not in a points league. He was 123rd last season. Now, I'm not saying that Drew's going to be 123rd this season. I've got him better than that, but I'm not taking him inside the top 100 for a points league. That's just not, I think, a smart move. And the last one I want to, on this screen anyway, that I want to talk about is Bradley Beal's new teammate, the Baptist Johnny Collins. Now, again, you might look at this and go, John Collins is going to be unlocked by playing with Kawhi. He's not going to get shut down. All that is probably true, right? Especially the shutdown part. But 92 is a pretty high number, I think, for what we might actually get from Johnny. Now, Johnny, last season in Utah, was the 65th ranked player. He played 31 minutes a game. He had 19 points, 8 rebounds. Like, these are big numbers. He's not sniffing that. Like, he's not getting 19 and 8. He's probably not having 24 usage. He probably doesn't play 31 minutes, honestly. So taking him at 92, I think he's probably 20 to 25 spots too high for it to make sense from a fantasy drafting perspective. In category leagues, he is better than points leagues. But that rank, that 92 rank, is more appropriate for a category league than a points league. Let's look at 5 more names on Yahoo Fantasy Points that I think are in the wrong spot. We'll start with Anthony Simons, who's ranked at 79. This one is one that I've mentioned quite a lot. But last season, he was 93rd as the starting point guard. And I don't believe he will be the starting point guard for the Celtics. Now, this one could be wrong very easily by the simple fact that he starts over Pritchard. Or Derek White plays half the games and Simons is in and out. Or he's traded to a team that wants to play him 34 minutes. I don't think any of those things are particularly likely. So I'm definitely not touching Simons at 79. Chet Holmgren's at 23. I can sort of understand why you might look at Chesterfield at 23 in a category league. I get that. I wouldn't, but I get why you would. He was 66th in points leagues last season. Now, he will play more than 27 minutes a night, I'm pretty sure, but I'm also certain they're not going to play him 34. His value in points leagues is not that high. This is an absolute burning of a pick. Ken Murphy, the third, is at number 38. Why would I look at Trey Murphy at that spot? Last season, Ingram out basically all year. Zion played 30 games. Murphy was 52nd, and he had a shoulder injury to end the season as well. Yeah, Zion may not stay healthy. Ingram's not on the team. All this is true, but getting him up to 36, to 38 or whatever it is, 38, it feels like, yeah, I'm okay at taking people at value. Especially in the early rounds, like, you don't have to extract every morsel of value at every spot. It's actually impossible to do that. But at 38, like, it's going to need a mighty miracle to me to get Murphy up to 38 in a points league. I do not want to do that. Larry Markkanen's ranked at 52. Okay. Markkanen, outside of the tanking and fake injuries last season, was just dreadful. He was 106th in points per game. Bro. We are... The fact that Larry's ranked at 52 and his ADP is higher, so people see the ranking and go, you know who I want to scroll down to get? Larry Markkanen. He's crazy to me. The Jazz are terrible. He is not going to be pushing super hard, I don't believe. Next season is the season that the Jazz really will start to fire up and make moves to win. Not this one. This is just asking to be pissed on. Like, this is terrible. Cam Johnson at 91. Johnson goes to Denver. And it is true that old mate, Big Chungus, Nikola Jokic, is going to be the one passing him the ball. He was 77th last season, Cam, so that's better than 91st, obviously. But I do think that his usage goes down. And in a points league, he's just not as useful as what he can be in a category league. Like at 91 in a category league, that's okay. Like, that's probably right on. I don't think he's a top 100 points league guy for this upcoming season. We're going to come back and talk ESPN points leagues, navigate their dual ranking ideas. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day you make decisions, but on Prize Picks, if you're right with these decisions, well, you can get paid. So don't miss the excitement of the upcoming NBA season with Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is a fun and simple way to add more excitement to the sport that you watch. Football, basketball, whatever it is. You can just pick more or less on player projections, like maybe it's Josh Allen's passing yards, Saquon Barkley rushing touchdowns. You can do that and get yourself into the game. They've also just added stacks. So if you want to ride with one player, you can select their passing yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns all in one lineup. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is the code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it is good to be right. We are talking about busts in fantasy leagues, and we're going to look at ESPN scoring, which is the scoring system I am using over for the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl this season. But we are comparing the projected value of these players with their scoring based on the rankings that currently sit inside the ESPN app. And there's also their other article, which was updated on September the 23rd, but hasn't made its way into the projections page or into the app, so I don't know what the hell the point of it is. In the draft room, those rankings aren't reflected. And I will tell you something right now. It's not on the screen right now, you are about to see the worst fantasy ranking you have ever seen in your life. I'm telling you are about to see the one that if you make this decision, you will lose without question. That's hyperbolic. I'm trying to be a little funny. But that's hyperbolic. But maybe not. Maybe not. Colin Sexton is ranked at 97. All right. Why? Now, the updated list has him at 142. Sexo last season was 117th, and he played 28 minutes a night. We already saw the opening game for the Charlotte Hornets. The big Areola Concanipple started over Sexton. So Sexton will be coming off the bench with Trey Mann and even Spencer Dinwiddie. A top 100 pick on him is silly. It just doesn't make any sense. Yegor Gioman is ranked at 114 in ESPN draft rooms at the moment. In a 10-team league, that does qualify as flyer territory. In 12s, it doesn't. He's not ranked on their most recent update. But Gioman's injured. He's got a plantar fascia issue. And you want me to tell you a guy that I have got in every league, I think, that I am in at the moment? Either I've picked up or drafted with my last pick, because I think he might be actually the opening night starting point guard. I've picked up Ben Saraf in every league, just to see what happens. I thought that Nolan Traore would be ahead of Saraf. I thought that Gioman would be ahead of him as well. I think he might be eventually, but it does appear that Saraf will be the opening night point guard, unbelievably, for the Brooklyn Nets. Now, he might not be, so he's an easy drop if that's the case. But I've found spaces where I can move guys into IL slots, and I've added Saraf. Gioman, at 114, for a guy that's injured and a rookie, who might be bad, is just not a move that I am particularly interested in. I think he's like 160th maybe for this season, maybe. And that's after a ramp up. I honestly, look, this, by the way, this isn't the one, but I have no idea why Daniel Gafford would be sitting at number 66. I can sort of understand why you would rationalize it in a category league to put him there. I can sort of get it. I wouldn't do it, but I can sort of get it. In a points league, I can't. Like, he was 102nd last season. He's injured to start the season. Derek Lively is healthy and playing. Anthony Davis is healthy and fat and playing. Gafford at 66, again, not the worst one on this list, is insane. It's silly. It makes no sense. Last season, he played 22 minutes a night, and like I said, was not a top 100 guy. 66, but I don't know what we're doing there. I already talked about Josh Hart. He's at 40. No, we're good. We don't need Josh Hart at number 40. That doesn't make any real sense to me. It's a bad pick. It's not the worst one. The worst one is coming. Don't worry. And then there's Jaden McDaniels, who's currently sitting at 89. 89 in ESPN points leagues. I've got him around 130th. So I don't get that. He was 110th last season. We're expecting a big leap from Jaden McDaniels, whose real only damage came in games that Randall was out last season. So I don't see the case to be put forward for him being worth a pick there. This next list still does not have the worst option on it. We're going to save that right till the end. But we've got some bad ones still. Timothy John McConnell. Now this, to be fair, he did get injured in the preseason game yesterday. I'm not sure how severe it is. I'd be a little worried. But TJ at 86, I can't really get behind that. He was 171st last season for ESPN points leagues. I've got him a bit higher than that, obviously, around the 130 mark, 120 mark for ESPN points leagues, but not at 86. Christian Brown at 68. Come on. Like, that's expecting a pretty sizable leap, and maybe it comes. I just cannot get behind this. Jarrett Allen. 44th. I'm so sorry, what? Not the worst one. That's still coming. DeMar DeRozan sits at 32. And like when I talked about Zach LaVine earlier on the Yahoo show, I looked at DeRozan's rank where I have him, where I've got him in around 60s, 70s sort of area for this upcoming season for ESPN points leagues. And I go, it seems like he should be better than that. But he's not. I can't get the projection to make it make sense. And then I look at where he sits here, who, by the way, DeMar DeRozan was the 61st ranked player in ESPN points leagues last season. And he's at 32. And I go, well, good luck, dude. That's just, good luck with that. That's never going to work out for you. You do that one and pair it with some of the other ones you see earlier, and you'll give up on fantasy in week one. Desmond Bane's ranked at 37. I already talked about him as well. It's just too high. It's probably 20 to 30 spots too high, to be honest. I don't see how he maintains value or even improves on value from where he was last season. I don't understand how that happens. Therefore, I will not be partaking in that. Malik Monk is at number 93 on ESPN. Is he? Well, he is, yeah. He was 79th last season, so I get that. That is fair. And this just could be a different interpretation of starting lineups. So I'm not going to be that harsh on this one because, again, maybe Malik Monk somehow starts over Schroeder or they give him 31 minutes off the bench. I would implore you guys to go play the 240 game with the Kings and just see how possible that is. It's not, but try it because he played 32 minutes a game last season to get to 79th. Like, I don't see how he's hitting this. Is Mikal Bridges the worst ranking that you've seen this season? Nope, because that one's coming up. Bridges last season was 85th. And yes, Mikal Bridges, you know he's going to be out there, or do you? Do you? Because you don't. You don't. Bridges was 85th per game, and they've got him ranked 53rd. Now again, Mikal Bridges has not missed a game in his NBA career. That is true. That is an undeniable fact. I'm not going to debate you on that because I know that it's true. It is a true fact. What it isn't, though, is an indication that he will never get hurt. If your sole argument for drafting a player at a particular spot is he has not gotten hurt, then find a different argument. I will continue to tell you this. I don't want the argument to be he's there every night. That is why I want him there. You got to at least approach that number on a per game basis. And I don't see how he does that. So it's bad. D'Angelo Russell is at number 100. Nope. He's not good enough to burn a pick that high. And 100 doesn't seem high, but if you're in a 12-man league, that is like in your top 66% of players. It's still pretty high. It's not your bottom two or three. It's your ninth best guy. Devin Vassell is at 92, again with Fox and Castle and Wemby, Barnes, Sohan. I don't see how Vassell is not only replicating what he did last season, but improving on it. I don't get it. And I also don't get Stephon Castle at number 110. I know that I am in the minority on the opinion on Castle. Cool. He was 144th in ESPN points leagues last season for the entire season. Now, he did only play 27 minutes a night, and that will improve. And early in the season, there might not be Harper and there won't be Fox. So his numbers could actually be much better than this. But it is important to note that a lot of these numbers, and even the overall season total for Castle, is fueled by a run of about 15 to 20 games of 30-plus usage. He ended up with 25 usage for the season. And yeah, the shooting should improve, but the usage will almost certainly go down. And the minutes will go up. So I'm not going to hate it at 110. In a category league, I do, but in a points league, I don't. But I don't love it there. I think he's more of a 130s sort of player in a ESPN points league. because efficiency matters in an ESPN points league. Now it is time for you to hold on to whatever you can, because we are about to go through, if not two of, at least one of the worst rankings I've ever seen. At number 19 on ESPN's points league rankings is my mate, Nikola Vucevic. Now you'll say, Josh, you were so wrong on him last season, so you have to hate again. Look, I'll maintain this. He's not a good center. He is a bad defensive center. The Bulls are going to give up so many points. He had an unbelievable outlier shooting season for about 70% of the season and then fell off through your fantasy playoffs and didn't put up those numbers. And I don't expect that he's going to be the best, literally one of the best shooters of all time, which is what he was doing for a 60% period of the season. But the overall totality of last season, I was wrong on saying that he wouldn't be able to return top 50 value very clearly. But as I think it's important to note when we're talking fantasy, is that what happened last season does not mean what happens this season. Do you think that he will be that good of a shooter all year? Will he stay on Chicago all season? And he was 35th per game last season, Vooch, for ESPN points leagues. So not only are we expecting him to maintain that level of shooting efficiency that he had last season, that rank expects him to improve. Huh? But that's got nothing on anything. Like that doesn't even register in terms of what are we doing? Why would you have this guy here? Because Ivica Zubac is at number 14. Now, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a simple guy and doesn't understand anything. 14. Now, I know why this is the case. I know why. Because last season, ESPN total points for the season, Ivica Zubac was 12th. He was 12th. That's an incredibly, unbelievably good result. But there are numerous reasons to not believe this. There are numerous reasons to not look at Zubac as a second-round player. He played, how many games? 80. So basically every game. He played 33 minutes. What is he going to do this season? Well, I'll tell you one thing he's going to do is not play 33 minutes. I've got him at like 31 minutes for the season. Which honestly, every time I look at it and go, it might be high. Maybe they play him 30. Maybe they play him 29. I think he's awesome, Zubac. I think he's a great player. I think he's a guy they draft in the 40s in ESPN Points League. Because Brook Lopez and John Collins also exist on this team, and if Zubac is playing 34 minutes, is Lopez getting 14 a night? Collins is never playing center. Is that what we believe? Because you would have to believe that, and you would have to believe that Zubac will play 80 games to have him at number 14. And I'm certain that none of you believe that. Michael Porter Jr. is at 51, and I guess you could make an argument that on a per-game basis, Mickey could hit that number. I'm not going to make that argument. I don't think he will. I don't think Porter will be the 50th best player on a per-game basis, even though I think he's in line to do more than Cam Johnson did last season in Brooklyn. But like he was 78th last season, so I think he can improve on that. That's a big jump. It's almost 30 spots of a jump per game. And then you've got to factor in, how many podcasts does he get to host and how many games is he going to play in March? What insane thing is he going to say? What's the over-under on fines or suspensions from Porter from just saying something stupid during the season? And I'm not even factoring that into saying 51's a bad spot. I talked about Levine earlier. He's at 62, 61 on the updated rankings. I can't get in there. And then Johnny Collins at number 90. Again, I spoke about that already as well in the earlier section. It's just 20 to 30 spots too early in my mind for John Collins. So, they are busts for Yahoo leagues, for ESPN points leagues. You'll be doing pretty well to find a weirder ranking than Zubac at 14. But if you find one, please let me know. If you are watching this on the YouTube mobile app, scroll across and hit the hype. The comment section, just scroll across, hit hype. Thumb up, subscribe, audio and video, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.